Color tables in Picotron are incredibly powerful. With color tables you can create all kinds of effects like lights, shadows, water shaders, fire shaders, seasonal shaders without adding any extra cost because Picotron already uses one in its rendering pipeline. If we change that color table, we can achieve these effects that I've spoken of. But first let's understand how these color tables work, then how you can design them, and finally how you can put them into your own games. Imagine for a second that you are a painter and you want to create a painting. You have your small palette with the colors 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've changed it a bit just so it's easier to understand. So let's say I'm choosing color 3 to paint a nice dark green meadow. Color 4 to paint a tree trunk. And then some color 10 to draw a nice sun. Easy enough, right? This is a one-dimensional palette. A color table is a lot like a two-dimensional palette. This is a visual representation of that palette. So up here is color 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and so on and so forth. So if you want to paint something now, you would still choose a color. Let's say our green. You paint something with it. Then, if you want to paint something else, you pick another color and look at what's already on screen. In our case, that's green. This green. We look at the intersection of the green and the brown that we wanted to use. And whatever color is there will be put on screen. As you can see, the whole line is brown. So it will always map to brown. But there's one special color up here. On its own, it maps to black. But if it gets put over red, it maps to red. And I'm referring to red here, but this is actually color index 1. You can see it here. If it gets put over color 2, our green, it will map to green. So it will always map to what's already on screen. In other words, it's transparent. If you try painting with this color, nothing will happen. Now there's another color down here. We've added this color, it's a special color. If you paint with this color, something magic will happen. I've chosen this color now. I want to paint with it. I'll check my green, that's already on screen, and look at the intersection of those two colors. There's a darker green here. So I use that color and paint over the green. Now I also want to paint over the brown. I'll check the intersection again and use that color. And you do that for every single color. And that's what Picotron is already doing with the color tables. Setting up a color table visually is way easier than doing it with just code. But in theory, this is just an array of numbers that gets put into the appropriate slot in memory. You could, in theory, design this purely through code, but this is just way easier. A real color table would look something like this. We've got loads of colors here, 34 to be exact, and there's loads more room for more colors. That's because Picotron allows you to use up to 64 colors, and that's what we're going to use to create our special colors. As you can see, there are already two special colors down here. One is the shadow color, just with all the colors from the full palette. Now I want to show you how you can use this sprite as a visual representation to not only plan and design your color table, but to also put it into memory. A sprite in Picotron is just U8 user data, and that's exactly what a color table is too. And that is why we can use a very simple function to just put this sprite into the correct slot in memory to use it as our color table. If you go to the description, you can find a link to a site that goes into detail on this, but there is a function on there that will allow you to use any sprite as your color table. To use it, you just put it in your init function. Its argument is the index of the sprite that you want to use as a color table. In our case, that's sprite number 4. Now we obviously need something to put on the screen. This code will put a colored grid onto the screen. Let's test it by running it. Here's our colored grid. Now we want to use our shadow color to paint some shadows on here. Let's get the mouse position by saying mouse X and mouse Y equals mouse. And let's put a big circle on the screen at that position. Now, in order to check what color your shadow color was again, or what's its index, you can go back to your sprite and read the Y coordinate, which is down here. This is our shadow color, color 33. And run it. As you can see, there is now a darkened area under our mouse cursor. And that's how color tables work. The modified color table is now working. You've put it into the correct slot of memory and you can use it to draw shadows. Now you can experiment with this and put all kinds of colors in your color table and to see what happens. One neat thing that you can do is that you can also design sprites with that special color. It was color 32, right? We can now blindly design our sprite. Let's say we want it to look something like that. So some stripes, and we'll paint it on here. This is now a mix of color 33 and color 0. You can't see it yet, but let's put it on screen. Instead of the circ fill, we put our sprite on screen. It was sprite index 5. And run it again to test it. As you can see, it works for sprites too. It darkens whatever is underneath it. This is really neat, and this is how you can work with layers to add shadows and lights to your games. I wouldn't have been able to understand these color tables if it wasn't for the great Picotron community. It's getting bigger and bigger by the day and they're very helpful. Without them, I would never have understood how these color tables work, so thanks to everybody who helped me on there. Please, if you happen to create something with color tables, let me see it. I'm really interested in what you can come up with, and I'm sure there are tons of effects out there that I haven't even thought about yet. Thank you for listening. Let me know if you have any questions and post them in the comments down below. See you next time. Bye bye.